And there we are, Susan Michelle. This mic is all yours.
Hi, this is Susan Michel. I am here in Western Massachusetts. It is so great to be here as always. I am the author of Surrender to Joy, From Suicide to Serenity. I teach the transformational truth of A Course in Miracles, which we are all here to study, to learn, to embody the truth of. My partner, Myrna Scholar, she's connecting right now. She is the author of Private Lessons with Jesus, which is also from A Course in Miracles, and it is an incredible book. It's a wonderful complement to the Course in Miracles workbook for students. So I will start out with my introduction. My introduction states, my passion is God. God is love and joy and beauty. He is all that is good in the world. Everything else is our own miscreation. When we are filled with joy, we are connected to God. When we are not joyful, we have lost our connection to all that is real. This is my message. It can be clarified with three simple words: surrender to joy. There is nothing to find. All we need to do is surrender. And here is Myrna looking as beautiful as ever. How are you, Myrna?
Hi, Susan. Hi, Gloria. And hey, Lynn. Everybody's here. The gang's all here. Well, some of the gang. Anyway, I'm good. I just had a great massage. That's always very, it's a nice way to kind of just veg out and just relax. So, yeah, I really feel super cool right now.
You look wonderful.
Thank you.
Yes, she does. Yes, she does. Um, so we really don't have so much planned. And I think what I will do on that note is I will read David Fishman's recommended paragraph here, and we'll allow Christ consciousness to talk through us. And what Jesus writes in chapter number 2 is, I am here only to be truly helpful. I am here to represent him who sent me. I do not have to worry about what to say or what to do because he who sent me will direct me. I am content to be wherever he wishes, knowing he goes there with me. I will be healed as I let him teach me to heal. So that is about allowing Christ to guide our words. And I think that it's all good, right, Myrna?
Yes, it really is. Today's lesson, okay, I always like to do the first thing in the morning is pick up the lesson for the day, and that kind of sets the pace for the day. And today is lesson 316, and I like the title of the lesson, 316, My Brother's Gifts on My Own, or something like that, to that effect.
Right. It's the subject is I opened it, so I'm
Yeah,
reading it from my book. Go ahead.
yeah, all gifts I give my brothers on my own. I like that because it gives us food for thought, that whatever we give, we receive. And that is really shows us that that's the title of the lesson, which in recognition tells me that just give the love, you'll get it back. Love is, I think, something to be shared. Faith, uh, trust in a brother, And sometimes we falter, at least once in a while. I know that I do. And just the other day, I told a story about something I thought had been stolen from me. And it was very upsetting until I realized it wasn't stolen at all. I misplaced it. But why would I even think that? And that was disturbing me for the moment, for a while. That and it was a good thing that it happened, because I really felt that it was a lesson I needed to learn. Why would that be the first thing that came to my mind? Oh, it was stolen. And I didn't like feeling that way. And it was almost Jesus reminding me, you're doing that, don't do that again. Have faith. And that's why today's lesson was really perfect for that uh, altercation that I had with myself, actually, about that.
Because you jumped. I mean, I remember the story. It's a beautiful story, and I have done that numerous times, gone right into the ego, and seeing the guilt in my brother. We all have. But it's such a beautiful lesson that Jesus taught you through that projection of fear, was that we never need to worry. And even if, as you so wisely said, Myrna, it had been stolen, Jesus would have helped you just make the necessary corrections. But as it turned out, no corrections needed to be made because it was never stolen. I love that story. And it's not to point the finger at you in any way, because it's happened to everybody. It's happened to me more times than I can remember. So
Yes,
that's a beautiful
but
lesson.
what you just reminded me of too, the way I was feeling was that even if it had been stolen, Jesus would have been there with me and to help me get through whatever it was, either to replace my credit cards, or it wouldn't have been that difficult if I had faith that, okay, it happened. Just now and heal from it, and just do the best you can to come back from that, that place, that emptiness, that fear, really, because that's what it is. It's fearfulness. So I just wanted to jump in with that. Read today's lesson because it really talks about that.
Yeah, today's lesson is 3:16. All gifts I give my brothers are my own. I mean, God has but one son. So we are all part of that sonship. And when we project fear onto our brother, we feel the guilt of what we projected. Because since my brother is one with me, when I see the guilt in him, I feel the guilt in me. And the opposite is also true. When I see the innocence in my brother, no matter what he says or does, well, then I feel the innocence within myself. That's what Jesus did while he was alive, and that's what he is teaching us to do through A Course in Miracles. Um, it's uh, it's just very beautiful. I mean, in the world, we are taught that if we give something to our brother, we lose it. If I give $1 to my brother, I have no dollar for myself. What A Course in Miracles is teaching us is that what is real is not the tangible. What is real is the intangible, because the intangible lasts forever. So if I want love, which is the only thing that matters anyway, what I need to is to give that love to my brother. And by giving that love to my brother, I feel the love within myself and I increase the love. So that's why what you give, you get. Very interesting. Very, very interesting. And so then lesson 316 goes on to say, as every gift my brothers give is mine, so every gift I give belongs to me. So if I want to feel the beauty in me, I see the beauty in you. And it's definitely not bodily beauty. I mean, it's inner beauty. It's the inner beauty that is real. Each one allows a past mistake to go and leave no shadow on the holy mind my Father loves. His grace is given me in every gift a brother has received throughout all time and past all time as well. My treasure house is full, and angels watch its open doors that not one gift is lost, and only more are added. Let me come to where my treasures are and enter in where I am truly welcome and at home among the gifts that God has given me. And then the prayer states, Father, I would accept your gifts today. I do not recognize them, yet I trust that you who gave them will provide the means by which I can behold them, see their worth, and cherish only them as what I want. The only gifts that we truly want are the gifts of God. And the gifts of God are always loving and compassionate. I was talking to a friend of mine in New York City who's not a Course in Miracles student. I love her. I've known her for a very long time. And I was sharing a story of a customer coming up to me. I was sampling a product, and the customer was just very nasty. And my friend was kind of telling me what she would have done if she was in my position, how she would have handled it, quote, handled it. But what I was trying to convey to her is when somebody projects their fear onto us, I mean, we can act in a calm manner so we hear together on the outside. But what A Course in Miracles is teaching us is so much more than that. A Course in Miracles is teaching us to really, from an inner organic level, to not take other people's projections of fear seriously. Like we really, it's more than acting together on the outside. It's knowing that when people project their fear onto us, it really has nothing to do with us. It has to do with their unhealed emotional wounds that they're projecting onto us. So for us to see through that to the love is what strengthens both of us. And that's what Christ did, Jesus did when he was alive on earth years ago. And that's what he's teaching us to do now in A Course in Miracles. Glorian has her hands raised. Yay. Hi, Glorian.
Hi, Susan and Myrna and Lynn and everyone.
Good to see
So
you.
glad to be here today. I love what you were sharing, and that's the impersonalization of the era, recognizing that it's someone else's unresolved projection of guilt and self-hatred that's coming at us. So we can make a choice of whether to accept that or whether to claim what we truly are and have it repelled against us. It doesn't have any meaning unless we give it meaning. So if we accept that idea, then somehow that's a belief in our mind that needs to be undone. But I love when you read the lesson today, and this was coming to me this morning, what is the gift of God? What really is the gift of God? And to me, it is non-judgment. So if I move into the gift of God of not judging my brother, I'm moving into complete forgiveness. And in that complete forgiveness, I'm accepting what I am in truth. And then I recognize that beyond all the seeming concepts that are there, the reality of what is. God is as being. So I loved that. And just looking at if we're seeing something other than the Christ beyond these concepts, it's our own unresolved guilt that we're projecting out there, which is really a gift in offering us the opportunity to choose again. Thanks so much.
Oh, that was great. Yes, that really pulled it together just beautifully. It was so nice to read the lessons and then just get into the depth of the lesson, because there are so many parts that are as you continue to digest the lessons, read them, there's always something more to get from it, always. Just like when you read the prayer, Susan. Father, I would accept your gifts today. I do not recognize them. Yet I trust that you who gave them will provide the means by which I can behold them, see their worth, and cherish only them as what I want. So what this tells me is that sometimes we don't know what's worthy, what we want and what we don't want. We don't know what is worthless and what has value. We really don't know. And God can show us really what it is that we want, what is really valuable and what isn't. Because when you're really living in the ego's world, it's very easy to get sort of confused, really, as to what it is that's important. And elsewhere, I remember reading in the Course in Miracles, I don't really know what it is, where Jesus says, if you don't really know what to give away, you don't have to sacrifice anything. Keep it. Keep what you want and give away what you don't want. That's how it was. It's worded in another part of the Course in Miracles. I always held that thought. I really did, because it really was. This was a lesson that really needed to be learned well. Losing things, retrieving things, giving things away, and the first paragraph, the lesson you just read, that everything is mine. Every gift my brothers gives is mine. So every gift I give belongs to me. That makes sense. Every gift my brother gives is mine. So if it's mine anyway, then it's theirs too. You can't really give it away. You keep it because it's yours. You never really give it away. It's always there. And there were so many gifts to really work on, the gift of trust, of empathy, of love, of caring, there are so many gifts, kindness, and it's just really everything that I can give away and also keep, all the things I just mentioned. Really give it away and still keep. You love somebody, you're giving it to them. You're not giving it away, you're giving it to them, but you're keeping it as well. And you're beginning to learn its value that much more when you're giving it.
Well
Right.
said, Myrna. I mean, we don't even know how much we have inside us until we give it away. I mean, God created us with everything. We have everything that we could possibly want within us. I mean, the world teaches us that we're not enough. So the world teaches us that in order to be enough, we have to go out into the world and prove that we're good enough. And that's how I grew up, always trying to prove my worth, especially to my father, which is interesting. I always wanted to please my father, and he provided a lot of valuable lessons for me to learn. You know, your good friend Rob Schwartz, who talks about past lives and soul lessons that we need to learn. He talks about how souls incarnate together and how one person plays the victimizer and another person might play the role of the victim. But the truth is they really love each other very, very much, and they're actually reflecting back to each other what they need to know in order to grow. So I really think in a lot of ways, my dad, although our relationship was very difficult at times, and he definitely pushed my buttons, and a lot of unhealed emotions in my father is actually being reflected to me right now through my sister. My sister has taken on a lot of the attributes of my father because she has not forgiven my father. So there's a lot of lessons that I'm learning. But the truth is, by overcoming these lessons and seeing that they have no power over me, that's how I really develop my true strength. And it's through feeling the pain, which I believe the darkness has to come to the light, and it is through forgiveness. And I'm so grateful to my father for providing those lessons to me. Glorian.
I just love that. I really do. And I love the gratitude there and that recognition that it's always there to teach us something. And I also love what you said. Yeah, we have to look. We can't be afraid to look. And the looking is what enables us to forgive it. So I love that. And also taking the responsibility and recognizing that all of these projections are our unresolved guilt. So if it wasn't worked out with dad, now it'll be worked out with your sister, or it'll continue until we forgive it, because it's always our own thoughts that we're giving everything the meaning to that it has for us based upon our past, our story, which is not real as we know, but it's seemingly real, which is, keeping it alive in the belief that there's still something there that I'm lacking. And I'm going to circle back to Myrna, um, about the gifts and giving the gifts. And it was coming to me that, we can give these gifts when we claim them. Otherwise, we're desiring them, which is lack. So ultimately, what we see in our brother is a reflection of ourselves. So, it's if we say, I love this about someone, it's basically something that either we have in us that we're seeing or some form of lack that we think we need. And it all comes back to that recognition that our worthiness is established by God. So once we accept and claim these gifts as ours, as what we are, love, grace, joy, they're all synonymous because they're all concepts that we still hold of God. Because once once we see God as a concept, then that's not it. Because we move into that space above that concept into the experience. So we can't know God with our minds, but we can experience God with our being in the isness. So that's what I was seeing. And thanks so much, girls.
I love it, really, it's true. I love experiencing God, experiencing Jesus. I mean, I am enamored, really, with the, like you said, it's a concept of glory. And yes, and it's about just the feeling of it. We're not relating to, human bodies. We're relating to now the essence. It's just so hard to put into words. But the feeling and the love that I have is so enormous that I just know that everything is going to work out. With that kind of love, it has to be given to me as whatever I need. And I never have to worry about anything. And I think if I do worry about something, it's because I've forgotten not to worry. and I get back into the whole aspect of the feeling, what it feels like, the connection. I never, ever fail to tell Jesus that I love him, never, because of the way I feel, and he knows it. And then I get this tingling sensation within, and it's indescribable. I love it. And, the fact that we talk about it, the fact that, I always ask him to join us every time we have a meeting. And I really know that he's here, helping us along with this. So it's just a beautiful thing. It really is. I love the connection that I have with you guys right now. Just sharing all this, I just feel such tremendous love, both Susan, for Gloria, and for just my brothers, because I know you. It's easy to feel love for you, both of you, really, because I know you. We talk about loving our brothers. Well, we can love our brothers from afar, but the ones that are in our lives are the ones that are so special and so wonderful to have the advantage of that type of friendship. So, right, Susan?
That's right. And then Glorian wrote in the chat room, your grace is given me. I claim it now. It's about claiming all that we are. It's about
Lynn has a
belief.
hand up, Susan. I think Lynn has a hand up.
I don't see Lynn's hand up.
I see a hand, a little white hand. Okay, I'm sorry. Go ahead. I didn't mean to interrupt. I thought that she had had
That's
her hand.
okay. I just don't see Lynn's hand up. But thank you. And if Lynn wants to talk, she's more than free to talk. Um, so another thing that was really beautiful in a way that just happened, and I shared this with Myrna before we got on, is today is Veterans Day. And our good friend Sherry's sister actually posted a picture on social media of her father, who is a war veteran, which was very beautiful. Um, I have a father who is a World War II veteran, who I just spoke about. I didn't post about that, but I'm not a big poster. And when he passed, I was the one who gave the speech about his life. And I've been thinking about him lately. I mean, I just spoke a little bit about him. And what happened was I was talking to Myrna. I didn't even touch my computer. And the last speech that I gave about my father popped up on my screen because I have about, I don't know, 30 different folders, sheets that are saved on my desktop, and one of them just opened up, and it was all about my dad. And I really believe that it was his way of reaching out to me and telling me that he's with me. I really believe that because I was just thinking about him. And also today is Veterans Day, and that makes me feel so happy that he's with me and he's watching out for me. I remember after my mom died, I got specific signs that she was there. I mean, my mother died 35 years ago, but my dad just died a couple years ago. So to have him reach out to me, it just made me feel so calm and so loved and so joyful because I do love him so much. And I also believe that, like, once we leave our body, he probably has a lot more wisdom now, I think, than he did when he was in his body. So it's really beautiful that his spirit is with me and watching out for me. I mean, I think in life in general right now, I have a lot of darkness that's coming to the light, which is really good, really, really good. And I've been listening to a lot of Course in Miracles students talk about this, how the darkness needs to come to the light, the wounds need to be be owned before they can dissipate. It's all about clearing our channel. I mean, even Course in Miracles says it can't teach us the meaning of love, but what it can do is it can point out all the blocks to love so we can recognize them. And when they come into our life, we can release them. You know, for me, it's about asking the Holy Spirit to help me to release them. I mean, my favorite paragraph says here, the escape from darkness, which is in chapter number 1, the escape from darkness involves 2 stages. First, the recognition that darkness cannot hide. This step usually entails fear. Second, the recognition that there is nothing you want to hide, even if you could. This step brings escape from fear. When you have become willing to hide nothing, you will not only be willing to enter into communion, but will also understand peace and joy. So it's like God doesn't even want us to keep it together all the time. God wants us to allow our darkness to surface, allow ourselves to open up, allow ourselves to keep it real. And then when our issues come to the surface, that's how we will be able to release them. And I definitely feel, I think, you know, the country as a whole is feeling very emotional, but to bring that back to me, for me, it wasn't the election that prompted any emotions. It was, I guess, the big trigger for me that continues to be processed is what happened with my sister, how my sister abandoned our relationship. I think that brought a lot of sadness and anger and old emotions from my childhood to the surface. And I think it's good. I think it's really good because when we're feeling emotional, it's just such a time where growth is very possible if you can allow yourself to stay open. Glorian.
Oh, I love that. I absolutely love that. And I think that that's that recognition that in our lives, we have these necessary losses that come up for us. And it's just a part of life. Like, my parents died 3 months apart in 2020. And it was difficult. I mean, you don't deny something like that. You recognize and you grieve for the loss of what you seemingly have here, mother, father. And that recognition that you said that then we grow and we have that opportunity to see things differently and more deeply. And then we're open. Someone said something in a meeting the other day, which was so good because I'm big on that, looking at the attachments to the outcome and, how we are invested in the outcome of things. And if we are, those are the blocks that are keeping us from the limitless possibilities that are available to present themselves to us. So again, that's a different way of looking at the blocks to love's presence, our ideas of sin and guilt and judgments and grievances. But I was going to ask you before I said all that, where did you read that from, where you read about hide nothing? Because I totally, I love that because that's the honesty, which, Jesus tells us in the Course is consistency, that nothing that we say differs from what we do. But we need to not hide anything from ourselves so that we can get to that place where we're not doing something different from what we think. So where did you read that from? Or was it your book or?
Yes, it's the Course in Miracles, not my book. It's actually also in my book, but it's from the Course in Miracles, chapter 1, the meaning of miracles, Roman numeral 4, the escape from darkness. It's the first paragraph, and in my book, it's on page 11.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
Yeah, I'm glad you like it because I've read it. So it's like my favorite paragraph because I can't find a lot specifically in A Course in Miracles about bringing the darkness to the light. But that is just a very clear paragraph, and it helps me. I guess like there are these times where, you know, we handle situations in a calm manner. We appear together on the outside because we're forcing ourselves to behave a certain way, even though we're repressing a lot of feelings on the inside. And, society might say, bravo, but God is not so happy because God wants us to keep it real. God wants us to allow our insecurities to surface so he can see the inner wounds and he can help us to release them. So it's like some of the times that I really keep it together on the outside, are not necessarily the best for my own spiritual and emotional healing. And sometimes, some of the times that I look the craziest on the outside are times when true growth is really happening. I'm letting it all hang out. It's just interesting how that works. Because I don't know, we don't grow despite life's challenges. We grow because of life's challenges. It's when life challenges us and we allow our feelings to release themselves. That's how we are able to connect to the joy on the other side of them. And then Glorian says, Joel Goldsmith talks about resist not. Thank you, Glorian. Myrna, any thoughts?
Well, today is 11/11, November 11th. And the number sequence 11/11 has multiple meanings, actually. And I just kind of brought it up on Google. One is a sign from the universe. Some believe that seeing 11/11, which is today's date, is a message from the universe, a sign of divine guidance or a reminder to focus on your thoughts and intentions. Today is a tremendously energetic day, as far as frequency goes. I really feel that way. It was my mother's birthday. In fact, today's my mother's deceased, but
Wow.
November 11th was her birthday. And in fact,
Wow.
I lit a memorial candle for her. And also Rusty. Rusty is my dog. Rusty died yesterday. Well, not yesterday, on November 10th. So my mother got a candle, Rusty got a candle. And it's a very special day for me because it's her birthday. There are multiple meanings. It could be a reminder that you have a soul plan or destiny and that you should question things that aren't good for you. So this is a day, I think, of really soul searching and coming to terms. Well, is this another phase? Is this another step higher into the energetic frequency of the dimensions that we're now in? I really believe that we're in fourth dimensional energy and we're starting to feel differently. And I also wanted to mention, not that I want to jump from things, from idea to idea, but when you mentioned your sister, I'm telling you that your sister's relationship with you is going to be healed. And I know that in retrospect with what I had with my daughter, my younger daughter, there was always problems with her. And even as she got older, there were rifts and estrangements. And every time we had one of those, I really suffered because I didn't want to let her go. And I blame myself, and I really began to instead of letting the relationship just heal on its own, I tried to heal it on my own, and I found that I could never do it. And I think the very last time this happened was about 2 years ago. I've lost count. Maybe it was a year ago, 2 years ago. But this is the first time that I felt no pain. sending her love, letting the relationship just come about and heal itself, and just letting it go. And this particular time, I really believe that it's for good, because just the words that she was using, recognizing that she too has come a long way, and knowing that we need to really love each other. Why miss the opportunity? Especially now. I mean, I'm older. I mean, if she and I said to her, Karen, I said, I said, you don't want to have regrets. I said, we need to have this relationship. I said, how much time do we have? And that seemed to really resonate with her. So if you're gonna, I think with your sister, hang on to it and feel bad every day. And I went through that. That does nothing. That's not going to salvage anything. I believe that if you just let it go and give it to God and let it come back to you purified, all right, there's nothing else you can do. And that is really the way to go. Through my own experiences, have found that it works for me. So I just wanted to mention that too. So
I
today is
totally believe that. I totally believe that, Myrna. If you love something, let it go. I mean, to hang on to it is basically me not trusting God. When we feel the need to hang on to things, it's our ego at play. And when we feel that peace and we let it go, that's when God can come into the situation and work his magic or his miracles. So I guess magic technically is of the ego and miracles is of God, based on A Course in Miracles terminology. So it's about letting go and allowing God to work his miracles. And the miracle is that if it was negative, if there was fear, it's an illusion. It's not real. Only the love is real. So of course God is going to come in and heal the relationship. And there's no need for me to hang on to it. It's about letting go and trusting. Thank you so much, Myrna. Glorian.
Yeah, thank you both. This is just great. It was coming to me when you were speaking about the healing of relationships. We have to really take all special relationships and make them holy, which is make them the same and see the Christ there beyond everything. But I think it's a big learning lesson for many of us to recognize that we really can't fix things. I mean, we want things to be a certain way, or we may be trying to extend love or think we know. And ultimately, sometimes you can't do it. And what Joel talks about fundamentally about healing would be to move into that state of beingness and allow the Christ to go forth and take it. And then everything falls into place. So we allow the flow and it makes the crooked places straight whatever that is that you seemingly need. And I really do think that that is the key, that we work on ourselves with the principles, and we'll work on, the course lessons or whatever it is to bring our mind at rest. But ultimately, we really don't know what anything is for. So moving into that state of trust, to me, I try to practice that. And do I always do it? No. But I do try to practice it and really allow the grace of God to go forth and make those crooked places straight. Because there's some things we really just can't fix. And when the teaching learning situation is done for us, sometimes it'll come back and sometimes it'll disappear. And I guess that's just resting, learning to rest in God's love and protect that rest by loving, by allowing his will to go forth and take care of whatever our seeming need might be. And I like what you said before too, that we really can never ever judge our advances or our retreats, because sometimes we look like everything's good, like you said, and there's something, one of our friends calls it sneaky Pete comes in there, the ego comes in there in a way that's unexpected. And then there's other times that we think we are in temptation, and that's where we really grow too. So we really can't judge it. Thanks so much.
I wanted to mention, you talk about Joel Goldsmith. I don't think Susan is familiar with Joel Goldsmith. I was not familiar with Joel Goldsmith until Glorian brought Joel Goldsmith into our meetings, into our talks. And I think he died in the 1960s, 1964, but he was a spiritual teacher. He was, from what I've gotten, he was a mystic. His message was taught really all over the world. And this came out, I think his teachings came out at the same time as the Course in Miracles. How can you elaborate on that a little bit, Gloria?
Yeah, the teachings I believe were before the Course in Miracles, and to me, it's the same consciousness that came through the different channel. And so when I found the Course in Miracles, which I did find first, my teacher had also Infinite Way. It's Joel Goldsmith is the Infinite Way. So we had our community was course with heavy Infinite Way influence. And for me, it was very beneficial because it combined the psychological, the undoing of the upside down thinking and the error with the mystical and, really accepting the Christ consciousness for what I am, for the I am within this. So, yeah, I just absolutely love it. To me, they go hand in hand because we know truth is truth and like we were saying, beyond all the religions is actually the truth, which is really saying God is and to love. So, to me, it's just been, tremendous. And I just love it. But I do both kind of hands in hand because that's how we practice it. We did read the course book, but we did definitely bring Joel into the teaching and a lot of the principles of the Infinite Way. And that's why you see me off camera, because some of the principles of Infinite Way is if it's an open meeting, which this is on YouTube, that we sit in, with humility and sacredly and silently. So if it's in a closed meeting, I will have my camera on. And basically, in an open meeting, we don't really share too much of our story. We just stick to, what the principles and what it says. So that's why you don't see me on camera. But anyway, there's a lot to it, and I think you'd love it. So
Yeah, I enjoy it when you read it. You read it and we kind of follow along with it. And what I gotten that he was a mystic, which I love mystical teaching. Jesus, who was in the scene, was also that was mystical teaching. And when they say that's connected to Kabbalah, which is also mystical. And all that, the mystic to me is fascinating because that's what we're doing right here with the Course in Miracles. We're discussing our feelings. Everything is not so much what we're, being taught verbally. What we're doing really is getting the what we're feeling, being. It's all about being. That's what the mystical is really, and it's just a matter of growing through those channels. And you talk about love, and all this comes through with mystical teaching, I believe. Anyway, so I'm glad you elaborated a little bit on that. I just want to tell you about a movie that I saw yesterday, which I want to bring that in because I think it's a good discussion movie. It's about a man who, when he was 30 years old, he had a motorcycle accident and he was left a quadriplegic. He was completely, paralyzed from the neck down, and he could only live with the use of a ventilator. And, I think this happened in the 1960s, 1970s, when not too much was known about that. And you could see his life was hell because, like, what could he do? He could, first of all, his insurance ran out very quickly. And as he said, breathing is a very expensive commodity to breathing because he lost his insurance and they kept sending him from one state to another. And he decided he wanted to die and that he had a right to die. And that because he was an engineer, he developed a switch that he could turn off himself. In other words, he didn't expect anybody to do it for him. He knew that he had to do it himself in order to accomplish that. And this went through the courts, and this was in North Carolina, and the judge agreed to allow him to do that. At the same time, he developed a couple of very good friends. One of them, he said, I want you to do something for me. This was a man who owned who had a radio program, and he got callers, and that's how he got to learn about this quadriplegic. And he befriended him. He went to see him and whatnot. And he said, "I want you to do me a favor. I want you to install that switch for me." And he agreed to do it. And he installed the switch. He told him how to do it, and he said goodbye to him. And that night, he expected that that's what was going to happen. The next morning, his friend, the quadriplegic was still alive. He said he just couldn't do it. What happened though ultimately is that what happened with people who were so totally incapacitated, they were just put in nursing homes. And how could he really excel in a nursing home? And through this movie, what you learn is that, again, through the courts, there was a group that was formed that allowed quadriplegics to have an independent life, because they could be, you begin to realize, like the Course in Miracles says, "I am not a body, I am free, for I'm still as God created me." It wasn't his body that was holding him back, it was the emotional. Okay, the poor me, the hell that he was in, the anger that he was projecting. And then you see that a lot had really been attained through going to court, recognizing that people needed to be together to work. Even if you were a quadriplegic, you could work. In his case, he was able to do computers just with his voice, and able to really become useful. And so I just wanted to kind of bring that up because it really touched me. It really did. If you just think of yourself as a body and nothing more, then it is hell. When you recognize there's so much more to that. First of all, his parents were wonderful. They loved him so much that they were with him on that. If that's what he wanted, then they were, as much as they loved him, they were willing to let him go by killing himself if that's what he felt he needed to do. But ultimately, you see, at the end, he's really out in the open. He's with people that are like himself, that are working towards excelling in that sort of lifestyle, not being considered nothing just because you don't have a body. So I just
What was the name of the movie, Myrna?
I wish you know what, I'm going to look it up. I forgot the name of the movie. I was trying to think about it today, but
Did you see it on like Netflix or?
yeah, I believe it was on Amazon Prime. I'll get the name of
Oh, yeah, I'd
it.
love to see that. It
Yeah.
sounds really good. Glorian.
Yeah, me too. I'd love to see that. What I love about it is that idea of labels and
Mhm.
how labels are imposed limiting ideas. And it's our own self-imposed limiting ideas that we project out there. So I really don't like labels because I have a friend, actually, someone from a different meeting who was talking about she was blind and how she overcame that and whatever. And, we don't want to put somebody into a box because there's always another way. There's always another, like I was saying before, the infinite possibilities that are available that are actually out there. So when we're resisting, like we were talking about before, we're identifying with the grievance, which is the body, which is limiting us from moving into the realization of what is. So for me, it's important to kind of live without labels. And I just wanted to say to what you said before, Myrna, about Joel. He was a Christian. Well, obviously he was Jewish, and he was then in Christian Science. And we're all mystics when we're communing with God. I and the Father are one. And that's what Jesus is saying in the Course. I am one self united with my Creator. So when we are out of that ego mind and listening to the Holy Spirit, which is the higher self, our mind that remembers God, which is us, when we're in the right mindedness, or what Joel would call the Christ consciousness, then we're all mystics because we're communing with what we are in truth, that I am within this. Thanks.
Thank you very much. Yeah, I mean, when we see our brother as a body, we are not seeing the truth in him. We're seeing the shell. We are spiritual beings taking on human bodies while we were here in this earthly classroom to learn the lessons that our soul needs to learn. But the truth is, we are all spiritual beings. So when we see our brother as a body, we're not seeing the truth of who he is. And I was going to say something else. I love the movie that Myrna spoke about, and I really want to see it because, I do believe when our body experiences challenges, to go back to Rob Schwartz, they're almost like lessons that our soul has chosen in this lifetime to learn the deeper lessons. So, what happened to that man in the movie sounds like it could be a really deep soul lesson that he needed to learn. And the only way we can find the peace, love, joy, and happiness of God is by connecting to our Christ self. And that doesn't come from the body. It comes from the mind. Oh, this is what I was going to say. Acceptance. To accept everything in your life. And this is what Glorian brought to my mind. To accept everything in your life exactly as it is the way to experience the truth of who we are. It's we have different challenges in our life. For some people, it might be the outcome of the election. For someone else like me, it might be the abandonment issue with my sister. But whatever is happening in our lives, just to accept everything exactly as it is and know that it's providing the perfect lesson that our soul needs to learn, is our way to step out of the dynamics of our ego and step into the truth of who we are, which is the connection with our creator. It's accepting everything in our life exactly as it is, and it's just so empowering. That place of acceptance is so empowering. And it's a mental discipline, because it's so easy to resist. As Glorian wrote, Goldsmith talks about resist not. Carl Jung said, what you resist persists. So we don't want to be resisting our circumstances. We want to just accept everything in our life exactly as it is, knowing that it's providing exactly what our soul needs to learn from. And what if everything is just perfect right here, right now? It's about accepting everything in our life exactly as it is. Myrna?
Yeah, I wanted to add to what you were saying. You just reminded me of something, because I heard this a few times. We're not human beings having a spiritual experience. We're spiritual beings having a human experience. And there is a difference. When you think about it, that's what the Course in Miracles teaches. We're really just having the human experience. Go ahead, Lori, and you wanted to say something too.
Oh, no, go ahead. Go
Go
ahead.
ahead, I'm done. Yeah, I just
Oh,
wanted
well, I was just going to say I love that, Myrna, because that's the whole key, is to accept ourselves as God created us, as spirit in a state of grace forever. Once we move into that space and that awareness, then we're in the happy dream, because nothing that seemingly occurs can have any effect on us. And I love what you said, Susan, about acceptance. And that ties back to what we were saying before about not being attached to the outcome, not being invested in the outcome. If we accept everything that comes to us as the gift that it is, offering us that opportunity to wake up to who we are, then we're home. We're home free, because we're using everything. We're accepting what we are in truth, and we're all going to wander into temptation while we're in a body. Joel even says, if you're in Christ consciousness 80 to 90% of the time, the other 10 to 20%, you are living in the world, and you use world discernment. with which to walk through that. So if we're remembering constantly that I am the presence of God, then our day becomes joyful, because that is what joy is, experiencing ourselves as we were created. Thanks so much.
Miracles everywhere. That's what was just posted by Reverend Wayne, I think. Yes, Rev Wayne, miracles everywhere, everywhere. Miracles are everywhere. And when you begin to realize they're everywhere. When everything starts working out for you in every way, you know that you're experiencing ongoing miracles, you know. For the first time in my life, I'm having that experience that everything was working out for me, everything. And it's just a wonder sometimes when there's no room for fear anymore. What can I be afraid of when I know that it's being worked out for me? This is the first time, this is the best time of my whole life, because this is the first time I'm experiencing the kind of peace that I always wanted. Took a long time. And yeah.
The peace that passeth understanding. That's beautiful, Myrna. Thank you. Thank you. And now our time is up, and Reverend Wayne is here. And I'm so grateful to Myrna, to Glorian, to Lynn. Thank you. Thank you. I love my time here in Pal Talk YouTube. And as A Course in Miracles says, nothing real can be threatened, nothing unreal exists. Herein lies the peace of God. And what that means is the only thing that's real is the love. I love you all. And I will now return the microphone to Lynn.
Thank you so much, Susan, Myrna, Gloria. Wonderful sharing, wonderful hour, and look forward to seeing you again on Friday. And wait, what am I doing? I got to end the YouTube. There we go. And now get a new YouTube.